The not so good news is, are we creating jobs for all of them, and are they actually employable? Are they coming out with the skills that the employers can actually immediately benefit from? And the answers to both those are, mixed, not so great. But we're working on that. As many people have pointed out here, the CM's PET program, which is the non-Mudalvan program, expanding on that. We have one of the best ICT academies in India that has got offices in multiple states, that is 15 plus years old. We also have, I think, multiple ways in which we can improve the government's role in facilitating and promoting IT investment and IT sector growth. I will repeat here what I said in the assembly a month ago when we were in session. I said, based on the number of requests I get to go and open facilities and the numbers that I see when I go attend these events and how many I can't go, my best guess is across Tamil Nadu, we are creating 10,000 additional jobs a month in the IT sector. Just think about that. 10,000 additional jobs a month. That's the good news. The bad news is I'm not sure that many of them are getting hugely incentivized by the government. Our natural ecosystem, our talent, our infrastructure, our connectivity in flight, in other ways, but also our connectivity with the diaspora is creating a natural draw. And companies I didn't even know existed, like big US media companies, here have 4,000, 5,000 people and are expanding on their way to 8,000, 9,000. I opened a company in Madurai a couple of months ago that started with 1,100 seats and is going to 6,000 or 7,000 seats in the next 2 years. So these are the opportunities, and we as a government really need to step up and improve our role, our facilitation, our support. And we're going to announce in the next couple of weeks some major new initiatives where we clean up the promotion process, we remove a lot of the confusion of which door to knock for what reason, we leverage the relationships with people like CII, NASCOM, etc., and we run active campaigns to actually solicit, to show what are, to first find out the scale of our success, to then highlight it around the world and then use that as a draw of the next acceleration. Instead of 10,000 jobs a month, we should be targeting 20 or 25,000 jobs a month with our own efforts. So that's the vision in terms of the employment and the growth. And lastly, I would say to create an ecosystem for innovation. I was very happy today that I had some connect or history with almost all the awardees. I had gone to open Unifor's office in the IIT Madras Park, of course the Department of Agriculture. I had already visited the Madurai-based company when I was there. I'm happy to note the other gentlemen from Dindigul. I know Dr. Armugam from before. So at some level, I'm aware of what is happening, because I think the seed of innovation actually starts with a mindset. It starts with this perception among a group of people that they are limited only by their own abilities and their own work ethic, and that if they put their mind to it, they can achieve anything. I mentioned this when I went to IIT Madras Research Park the first time, maybe 2 years ago, and I met the many brilliant companies that were there. And in my speech, I said, I have not seen this in India anywhere else. I've seen it all over the world. I've seen a lot of it in the United States, but I've not seen it anywhere else in India. And what is the most amazing thing about it is that young people believe that if they can dream it and they can work hard enough and they can apply themselves, they can do it, and there's no other barrier. That is the core of innovation. That is the core of entrepreneurial growth in the tech industry. Though I was in finance for many decades, towards the later part of my professional career before entering public life, in the early part of my career, both academically and professionally, I was quite engaged with the tech ecosystem. And I remember that through waves of innovation, starting with the first dot-com boom, after which I was at MIT for a while, and then the second and the third generation of this. I just want to say anecdotally something that happened to me last week, which also gives me great hope. I took my younger son on a tour of US universities, mostly on the East Coast, and I went and visited the University of Chicago, MIT, Harvard, Brown, Yale, Columbia, and I was so impressed. This is this can-do attitude that comes out of the best universities. It says that you can be anything you want to be. You can do anything that you put your mind to if you work hard enough. And we are here to support you to do that. That system, again, I say I've seen it in IIT Madras, but I haven't seen it in too many other places. We need to create multiple versions of that with things like the IT&T hub in Chennai and the expansion of those in other places. But the anecdote I want to say is that as I was rushing through Chicago's O'Hare Airport and trying to catch the flight with my young son, I suddenly realized my shoelaces were untied. So I sat down to tie my laces, and when I looked up, there was a gentleman standing next to me, and he said, "Sir, it's you. I can't believe it's really you." And he got on talking to me and saying he was a big fan. But there was a Tamil tech person, like so many all over the world, who was in a very successful professional career and who was rushing from some place to some place on work himself, but who also wanted to say, how can I contribute? How can I, help growth back in Tamil Nadu? What opportunities are there? The diaspora that we have is everywhere. I've had experiences like this in Europe, in Australia, in other parts of the world, in the Middle East. And so partly the strength that we have, probably the single best strength that we have, is the wonderful Tamil diaspora that has done brilliantly well in many fields, in medicine, in finance, in other things, but in tech particularly around the world. And we hope that we will use them as an unbeatable edge or advantage when it comes to creating an ecosystem of innovation and excellence here in Tamil Nadu. So with that, let me thank you again for this opportunity to be here. Let me congratulate CII on yet another successful edition of this Connect conference. I appreciated being part of it in Coimbatore and in Madurai, and I believe, as others have said, that part of our strength and certainly the greatest trajectory of our growth will come out of Tier 2 and Tier 3 cities, and the government will do its part to do that. I congratulate the winners again, all well-deserved and iconic companies that will provide inspiration for others to follow. I'm very happy to note the topics, and particularly of relevance to me under the theme of Tech for Tomorrow, the changing role and importance of GCCs, smart work practices, starting with the government of Tamil Nadu itself, we need to do, infrastructure with equity, something I talked about in BharatNet, and then diversity and inclusion, which again we take great pride in Tamil Nadu, that among the states in India we probably provide the most equitable, though far from perfect, access to women in the workforce, which leads to 43% of all women engaged in manufacturing in India are operating out of Tamil Nadu, among other statistics. So exciting times. Of course, the future is always exciting unless you're in the middle of some deep crisis. But I think in particular in the technology space, the next few years promises to be a transformative, a paradigm-shifting kind of period. And I hope that, as I said from my finance days, volatility will be our friend, and we will all find great outcomes, relatively speaking, to the past in the next few years. Thank you again and wish you all a good conference over the next couple of days.
உடனுக்குடன் செய்திகளை அறிந்து கொள்ள IF Tamil பெல் ஐகானை கிளிக் செய்யுங்கள்.